Okay, so now we're going to be talking about our freshwater system hookup, and this one has a couple of things you need to know, because you'll have a city water hookup to what it'll feed the whole coach, and that'll give you all your pressure coming right out of the spigot, and also how to fill a tank if you're going to be dry camping for a couple of days and you need fresh water. So first of all, we're going to start off with our bin here that has our fresh water. It is labeled. This here is your fresh water hose, and this hose is not your typical garden hose. It is made just for drinking water, so it has no contaminants on the inside. Make sure when you're doing this you always wear gloves, because you don't want any kind of cross contamination with either sewer or anything else you're doing. So put on fresh gloves, and this is where you're going to start. And we're going to walk over here, and really important is going to be this. This is going to be your panel. This is what it's going to look like. It'll say city water connection, and it does have a lock, and most of the time it will be locked, and you'll have to unlock it to get in. And once you open it up, once you're parked, you already have your power set up. Now we're going to work on the water system. Here we go. This is your city. If you notice, this is the shape. So this here, tank fill and city, that's going to be this dial here. Okay, so if I turn it, that's going to be tank fill. So that's a tank, and you have about a 40-gallon water filled tank for when you are dry camping and you have no access to water. You're going to want to fill this, and you can fill that at any local gas station or anybody that has a water hookup. Just make sure that you use your freshwater garden hose. Again, I don't want to call it a garden hose, but it is a looks like a garden hose. You want to go ahead and plug it into this outlet here. This here is going to be your inlet for the water system. Okay, this one here with the star shape, that's a tank flush. This one is for your dark water, which is your toilet tank clean out. You do not want to put your fresh water into there thinking that that's what it is. This one here, just below the dial, is your city water hookup. So we're going to go ahead and set that up. And right now I'm going to go ahead and turn this here, and I'm going to set it for city. When it says city connection, that basically is saying that you are going to connect it to a spigot. You're going to connect it to this inlet, and once you turn on the water at the spigot, that feeds your whole system. Then you don't need to have the water pump on. This is going to bypass all that, and this is going to feed your whole system with the pressure that's coming right out of the spigot. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll demonstrate that. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. Counterclockwise is the twist for locking that into place. Give it a nice little tug, make sure it's nice and tight in there. And again, right now we are pointing down, and that is pointing right at that hose. That means it's city. That means we're going to get pressure from the spigot into the coach. You can pause it there. So the spigot's usually found right here, right next to the pedestal. They're always the same. Most campgrounds are always the same, but you're always going to get your own spigot. This one here, this is another one, but this is probably for the other campground, and right now nobody's connected to it. So right now I'm using this one. And when you are turning the water on, so now that I'm all connected, you want to make sure you just don't crank it open, because everywhere you go, you're going to have a different amount of pressure coming out of here. So right now these hoses are empty. We want to go ahead and just crack it nice and slow. Give it a half turn. And let that slowly fill up, so you're not putting a lot of pressure on the lines. Once you kind of get in there, go ahead and open her up. And there you have it. So now that our spigot is opened up, we have pressure feeding the coach, and now all your faucets and everything else is going to work right off of here. So really important that you open that slowly. You don't just crack it right open. You got to let the lines fill up. Make sure you're not busting any lines and taking your time with it. So now that this is open, we're going to come up here. This is your city water. We talked about that. And now this is your tank flush. So this one here, if you connect the hose to it, this has water that goes straight into the dark water tank to kind of flush everything out, get everything to drain out, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and set that up. Same deal, counterclockwise twist, nice and snug, nice and tight. And then we're just gonna go ahead and set up the other side.